Welcome to this lesson. This lesson is going to be entering and editing of data in a spreadsheet. What is data? Data is a raw fact which involves letters, symbols, and numbers. Okay. What is entering of data? Data entering is the process of inputting of data or information into a computer using input devices. There are some types of data that we can input into our worksheet. And what are some of the data that we can enter into our worksheet? We can enter text, which involves alphabetical letters. We can also enter numbers, which involves numerical values. We can also enter date and time, which involves months, days, and years. We can also input a formula. Also, we can insert an image into our worksheet. Okay, so for today we are going to focus much on these three, which are text, number, and the date and time. How can we enter them into our worksheet? So we can follow some steps here when entering of these data types. Number one, we can double click on a cell where we want to input our data, or where we want to enter our data, as shown in the picture below. Just immediately you double click the cell. For example, cell A1, it becomes an active cell. An active cell is a cell which is ready to receive the information of data from the keyboard. That is an active cell. Okay, number two, we can follow this step. You can type the data and press enter after typing your data, as shown below. I typed my data here, so that is all about entering of data. Now, finally, we are going to see how we can enter data into our worksheet. Okay, so before we do a bit of practical, let us talk about editing of data. What is editing of data? So, editing of data is simply the modification or correcting or make changes on the work that we have already entered into our worksheet. Okay, so that is all about the editing of data. It's just simply the correcting of errors in our worksheet. Okay, what are some of the steps that we can follow when editing of data in a spreadsheet? Number one, we can double click on the cell that contains the data that you want to edit. You can just double click there, it becomes an active cell. And then number two, you can delete a letter or the entire word, or where you've made an error, then you type the correct word or the correct letter. Okay. Now we are going to see the practical example on what we are talking about when you talk of entering of data, when you talk of editing of data. What is all about? What is all about it? So here is my worksheet here. So I can double click my cell A1. It becomes an active cell, and then I type the word Mbire. Okay, there is the word Mbire. The last step, I press enter to save the word that I have typed. That is how we can enter data or enter text. What about numbers? We can follow the same steps. You double click the cell and then enter the numerical values, which is 120 there, and I press enter to save the numbers that I have typed. That is all about entering of data into a worksheet. How about editing of data? Maybe I made a mistake on this word. Maybe I typed something else in the word. So I can double click the cell and then press the backspace or delete button to correct the mistake, and then press enter button to save the word in the cell. Okay, that is all about editing. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about cutting, copying, and paste of data into the worksheet. How can we cut? How can we copy? How can we paste our data into our cells? Okay. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next lesson.